one of the latest news about a new fighter jets being shot by Iranian air defense system, which was F-18. And here is the footage of that.
Yeah.
It seems Andrei later on in an ocean somewhere he just crashed. This fighter was crashed in the ocean. I don't know what happened, but what was happening, Andrei? This hit was done, as we've learned from the Iranian media, by one of these air defense systems that they keep on their shoulders.
Yeah, it's man-pads. Yeah, most likely it's older versions of Strela. But I believe, and again, you have to understand, they do not really go often for the kinetic kill. They have the warhead. It's an the guidance itself is homing device is infrared, and you have the essentially the bag of the all kinds of the shrapnel, and that's basically, it guides itself towards the most heated part of the aircraft, which of course is the nozzles, exhaust of the engines. So, and that's where you see those shrapnels, so it might look from the away as if nothing happened, but reality is that it basically creates a lot of holes, let's put it this way, in the fuselage, and it can damage obviously critical systems. So F-18 is not the type of aircraft which can take this punishment and still continue to operate. And of course A-10 Warthog, for example, it's slow, but it's very survivable. It can take a lot of punishment, let me tell you. So the same goes, for example, for Russian Su-25, which is called frog food in NATO. But obviously with the newer missiles, I think it was the older missile, the newer missiles, especially like Igla and obviously Verba. Verba is the newest one. It can take down pretty much anything. Okay, so I don't know what is going on in terms of the man-pads, but I am absolutely positive that Iran has very many of them, enough to sustain for years, maybe, so, and we don't know what Russia and China provide, but today Mr. Pezeshkian, the president, expressed the gratitude to Russia for standing behind Iran. So, and this is like, oh, okay. So who knows? But yeah, it's anybody who thinks that United States can operate close air support in Iran or near Iran, well, man-pads are there, and they will be taking down pretty much most of the aircraft which will try to do this. And so that's what we see. And this is not the first, that's not going to be the last. And especially if they decide that somehow they want to do the boots on the ground. Although after today's article in New York Times, I already posted it on my blog, that the U.S. Army fights now remotely, works remotely. Never heard anything like this. Okay,
what does that mean, Andrei?
I don't know. I said that it's beyond. It defies, as Karl Marx stated. History repeats itself first as strategy or tragedy, and then as farce. We are beyond farce. We are in the state of, I don't know what it is. It's a complete, basically, panopticon, and working remotely, redeploying more cavalry battalion from the cellar or the basement of the UAE Hilton to the Kuwait Sheraton. It's I don't know. I mean, there are some things which defy, any kind of the common sense, let alone military common sense, and let alone the professional military view on the war. And but that's actually the indication of how badly United States and Israel losing it, and they're losing it catastrophically, actually.
Andrei, in the last 2 or 3 days, we had Donald Trump various times talking about how is the situation. But I, instead of playing that clips of Donald Trump mentioning how grateful he's winning, I have a some sort of special video that shows how Donald Trump is drastically winning everything. Here is the video.
Yeah.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of
Yeah.
winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning.
Yeah, he's literally saying the same thing right now when it comes to the war.
Yeah, I
with
mean, he is. I don't know what state of the mental state he is in. It's definitely not healthy. Definitely not healthy. And when you look, especially at his Minister of War, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, the guy is really. He needs to get serious treatment with all kinds of the serious pills, to probably get him in shape, because they sense, some do know, that it is catastrophe for the United States. And some people say it's Suez moment. Well, Suez moment is a kind of, doesn't even convey the scale of the historic, catastrophe, and which didn't start. Iran basically is reading their last rites for the, globalism as it existed before. And yeah, we can say already the most terrifying thing for Washington did happen is the end of the petrodollar. Period. It's over. Not like, oh yeah, it's over, it's coming. We knew it was coming, but this is like, that's it. Here it is. This is de facto, and now the jury, essentially, because everybody tries to buy oil for yuan, some buy oil for rubles in other national currencies. And yeah, the latest one I heard, it was Spain, which was allowed to go through Hormuz Strait. So obviously we knew Chinese and Russians were absolutely sailing, and they are huge supporters of Iran, as we all know. Now then suddenly India, whatever happened between India and Iran, and now Spain joined them. So Spain is a rich guy in Europe, they have oil and whatever. So, but yeah, it's a catastrophic situation for Trump, and the only thing he can do now is manipulate, and not even the real markets. He doesn't manipulate. They don't understand. Trump and those people in Washington, they don't understand what real economy is. They operated from the point of view of making money on the speculation on the Wall Street, those futures paper things, paper gold, paper oil, paper gas, what have you. It's useless. I mean, the reality of what I read today, that still the actual physical oil is being sold up to $170 per barrel. So, and yeah, he tried to manipulate it yesterday. He lies all the time. He needs to, his buddies from Wall Street made some money and, somehow keep a market, but he can't. Even today, it still went up, and it will continue to go up. And you cannot explain this to people there who grew up with thinking that Wall Street is a real economy and making money somehow is detached from the actual product. And so here we are, and Iran proved it, and that's it. People not going to be buying oil in dollars anymore. The biggest vassal of United States and Southeast Asia, who literally just basically lick American boots, Philippines. Philippines now talking to Russia, they need energy from Russia. So guess what? Well, Russians will say, okay, if you can pay in dollars, sure. I mean, but rubles are yuans. We take yuans. That's fine. Rubles, fine. The whole world, the Trump's world, is collapsing on him, and he is definitely not in a healthy mental state.
Andrei, the whole, the agenda on the part of the Trump administration when they started this war was basically air power and marine. In going in, the air power, so far from what we've seen, various fighter jets were shot and, were hit by Iranian air defense system, which is costly for the United States.
Yeah.
And marine is just far away from the Iranian coast. Gerald Ford is just not working anymore. Abraham Lincoln is far away from the Iranian coast. And how do you see this situation with these two fronts, with these two tools in the hand of the American army against Iran?
I wrote 4 books about it. That United States doesn't know what real war is. I'm not talking about even American public, which is absolutely oblivious to the fact what real war is, because United States lives, in the separated by the world by 2 oceans and never experienced. And I'm not talking this ridiculous argument. Oh yeah, we had civil war. It's nothing compared to what is happening in the world outside. And so is U.S. military. You cannot explain this to the military, whose cultural and doctrinal DNA is expeditionary force. They don't understand real ground operations, combined arms operations of a massive scale against capable enemy. United States didn't fight the capable enemy since Vietnam. I mean, beating the semi-literate, retarded Saddam's army, utterly corrupted, or mighty air forces of Taliban together with mighty Taliban air defense. So yeah, they got high on their own supply, but reality is that all these ideas which have been instilled in the United States Armed Forces on the ground-wise by the Blitzkrieg generals who wrote essentially doctrines for NATO, all those Nazi and Wehrmacht generals from, Erich von Manstein to, Hauser, to all kinds of them, who were officially employed by the U.S. Army. And so, and there is this doctrine, every 5 or so years, United States Navy, which is glorious Navy with an incredible history, the obviously demonstration of the courage and professionalism. So United States has no reason not to be proud, of its great Navy. But the problem is, again, life changed so much. And those doctrines were either all kinds of the modification of this blitzkrieg and air power, and the experience which they got in the European theater of war, and even in Vietnam, about air power, which is really not real experience in the sense that it doesn't reflect the fight with the nation which is capable, which is large and is ready to fight back. And it's, air land battle, air sea battle, and then of course from the sea concepts, it's all these amphibious operations. It is all good for third world, pardon my French, crap holes, which has the population and armed forces which cannot shoot back straight. Iran is not the third world, actually. So that's what many people do not understand. It has its massive industrial capacity, and it has the military-industrial complex. It has the fairly competent, basically military. And apart from the fact that if you take a look, obviously now at all majority of the Iranian leadership, and I'm not talking about IRG, I'm talking about even just regular people. They are, many of them, combat veterans. They went through the obviously Iran-Iraq war, and Iraq was supported by whole world, from Soviet Union to United States and Europe. So, and Iran still endured. So what can I say? I mean, these are people of a completely different intellectual level, different spiritual view of the war. So you look at this, clowns like Kellogg or whatever, those American generals who lost every war they participated in, they don't learn. They don't understand actually what is going on. They don't have evidently this, what is called moral, spiritual, and, intellectual organ. There's a toolkit, as you correctly stated, which allows them to see through, because obviously the United States Army has a brave and courageous and competent people, but anybody will tell you, and you can ask Danny Davis, you can ask Doug McGregor, that essentially once you get to the level of colonel and to the generalship, the only thing you need to know is how to be political, how to, kiss ass And that's what you do. You are not progressing as the military professional combat leader because nobody needs it. In Washington, D.C., they know nobody wants to attack them, really. Okay. So it is the relaxed atmosphere in very many respects. And as a result, whatever the competences United States had in terms of the military technology, doctrine, especially fighting doctrines, it's all obsolete. And again, I wrote 9 years ago the first book, which is called Losing Military Supremacy, where I already stated that 9 years ago. I said it's all fake, basically. It was grossly overestimated, grossly overrepresented. You have Hollywood. You have essentially Hollywood, which is the propaganda machine for the U.S. military. But reality is a table of equipment, organization and equipment, TOE, of the U.S. Armed Forces is simply not designed to fight real war. Simple as that. It's obsolete. It's stuck in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And now when you see everything what is happening, including what is happening in Israel, which is being pummeled, blown up to smithereens. I just showed the interview in the Israeli TV when the mayor of Margaliot, which was essentially wiped out by Iranian and Hezbollah forces, he basically crying, in the on live TV, because I said, Bibi, send us help. Well, there is no help. That's the problem. They don't understand it, that's it. And United States have been, together with NATO, have been demilitarized for the last 4 years during special military operation. And suddenly, here we are. And they cannot sustain anything. They cannot sustain operation. They cannot get required force, let's say, to fight Iran, to really invade Iran and achieve some kind of the political objective, the scale of the regime change, they remove ayatollahs and things like that. You will need about 2 million people. Can United States furnish this army? No, it can't. And it will be obsolete army anyway.
Yeah. Actually, we had on channel 13 in Hebrew, they have mentioned the chief of staff warned last night in the cabinet that the Israeli army is on the verge of collapsing from within, because he said that the army cannot sustain it, because it's not, Andrei, what is happening right now. Israelis literally are not fighting Iranians anymore. The United States is somehow
they got what they wanted.
They're using the United States as a mercenary against Iran. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, United States doesn't have sovereignty in the foreign policy, and it's controlled by from Tel Aviv. Basically, we can sit here and speculate whatever it is. Obviously, it could be Epstein files, which is used for making, basically killing Trump. He's a political corpse now, and he's the stage of the decomposition. So we can observe probably the catastrophe for GOP, and good riddance. This two-party system is garbage. Actually, it doesn't work, and it's utterly corrupt. And so when you look attentively at those fanatics from the GOP, majority of whom support Israel, what can I say? We'll see it. What midterms will bring, but J.D. Vance may as well forget about his presidency, and the chance on the presidency. And it's called American political machine simply seized, and that's it. And what can I say? It's over. The United States as well. First, it was self-proclaimed hegemon, so it was obviously, it had a very good run, starting from 1941, when essentially the consequences of the Great Depression have been overcome. United States went within 1941, within 4 months, I believe, from more than 25% unemployment to full employment. Can you imagine this? Well, that's why many of those people love war. They think that it's World War II still. It's not. It's 2026, and things change dramatically, especially technologically. And now when they get pummeled by this, it just, Again, I read today this New York Times piece. It's like, so U.S. Army now ground forces working remotely. This is I don't know. I mean, I have no words to describe it. Okay.
These are military experts writing these articles because they have a
Well,
lot of insight. We have to accept that. They have to understand they know a lot about what's going on within the system.
I don't know. I mean, whoever wrote, I can look it up. I mean, not on this computer, my computer with the subscription of another room. So yeah, I can take a look who wrote these pieces. But yeah, it's you can go and take a look actually at. Let me.
Yeah.
It defies belief, and yeah, it just leaves you speechless. And but yeah, Trump is winning tremendously. Yeah, I'll.
Andrei, Axios reported that Pentagon is preparing for massive final blow of Iran war. They're talking about, the ground forces together with large scale bombing campaign. And we know that the United States so far tried with the air fighter jets, with the Marine all together. Right now, putting 12,000, let's talk about 20,000 soldiers, in the Persian Gulf. How is that going to help the United States?
No, it's not going to help the United States. It's going to kill very many American military personnel, and very many. Again, if you read any army doctrinal publication of the United States, field manuals, especially operations, FM 3-0, everything in there is about, overwhelm the enemy, bring on our long range fires. Now you have to explain to those people that long range fires, as it's written and it was basically presented, doesn't work like this anymore, because your enemy also has long range fires, and very often they are much longer, and United States doesn't have real viable air defense, period. Simple as that. What do they have? I mean, you look attentively at what is SHORAD. Oh, you get Stryker or get Humvee, stick on it for Stingers. Oh yeah, we have short. It's not going to work against anything. Okay, so and it might work against some helicopter maybe, and so but drones are producing very small infrared signature, and so and same goes. And then what do you have? Oh, the next thing is NASAMS. What is NASAMS? And it's basically Frankenstein of air defense. You take the AIM-120 MRAM, which is used basically, it's the air-to-air missile. You made out of it a Frankenstein, stick it on some platform, get some sensors to this platform, and declare it a viable, air defense complex. It's not. I mean, it fails most of the time. And again, it's just one of them. Patriot is not. We cannot even talk seriously. But we know that now United States demands from Ukraine to return the balance of whatever is left there of Patriots. That tells you everything you need to know. And how they're going to defend their assembly areas, how they're going to defend their strong points, what are they thinking that they can build into their battalion or company columns and attack in the terrain of Iran? I mean, really, I have a bridge to sell to those people. So they don't know what they're going to do. They don't have experience. They don't understand how you can command force, which requires assembly, as I already stated. It's between probably at least 1.5 and 2 million people to get into such country as Iran and achieve some kind of the political objectives there. What will be the casualties? They will be horrendous. Vietnam will look like the stroll in the park compared to this. And somebody finally stated that, oh yeah, all those things may look as Gallipoli rather than. And Gallipoli, let me tell you, within 10 months, 56,000 KIAs, there were 180,000 wounded for Entente forces, almost 8,000 have been taken prisoners by Turks. So if they want this result, I don't know what's going to happen in the United States. Do they want to reconstitute the draft? There will be revolution in this country, okay? So, and that's the whole thing. There are no good options. Trump, he never understood that Russians were giving him for about half a year some off-ramps in Ukraine. He didn't understand. He didn't take it. He failed miserably there. Now he is in the position that, what are you gonna do? He being, and we know who he is. We know who controls him. Israel controls him. They need escalation. Escalation with what? The first question is, with what? Does the United States have the required force? Which any normal person with any, military professional with operational mind will say, we don't. We have not enough. We just, so you need to mobilize the country. Good luck doing this, And so what do? Do they want to commit war crime against own troops, to put the guys into the Kashim Island or Hark, and think that they can, hold on to some piece of land? They will be dying every day in large numbers. And what are you going to do? I don't know, but it's Trump administration. It's not Trump, it's Netanyahu administration, essentially. And as I already stated, I state many times, I will repeat it again, United States doesn't have US Congress. It has Knesset 2.0, period. So, and it is basically, written already, well, it's not on the sand, it's written on the wall now. We can see some writings on the wall.